All right, welcome everybody. This is Show Me Online Teaching, and our goal is to provide practical ideas for online teaching and learning. In each episode, we feature a guest teacher sharing a favorite lesson, and in writing project style, we work with these activities and ideas that can be adaptable across subject areas and grade levels. And today, we're really excited to have Corinne Arens with us sharing her lesson. And we also have some support from Jeff Dierking and Raytown and Linda Brock and Blue Springs. We have Julie Sherman from Marceline and the Missouri Writing Projects Network, as well as Luann Fox from Olathe. I'm Katie Klein, and I encourage you to open up your chat feature. Keep yourself muted throughout the call and really use that chat feature to ask questions, make any kind of comment that you want, and connect with other teachers who are on the call here today. I could say all kinds of wonderful things about Corinne. I've been able to work with her pretty intimately over the past few years, which has been a great pleasure. But I'm going to let her introduce herself, and I am going to mute me. Welcome, Corinne.
Well, thank you for such a warm welcome, and thank you all for being here and stretching our minds together during this crazy time. Like Katie said, I am from Blue Springs. Currently, my role is an elementary instructional coach, so I support teachers through curriculum development and professional development, K-5. I do spend time in our preschool as well. I'm a product of 2004 writing project in Kansas City. That's when I went through the writing project, and it's really just opened up so many different pathways and experiences. So it's really great to have this network to lean on during these times. So our focus today is going to be around creativity. I am at home with my two children, a kindergartner and a fifth grader. So I'm always looking for ways to engage them, to lift their spirits, and to do something that is that reaches across the grades. So I wanted to offer up some thinking that I've done around this within my little homeschool, and hopefully it will spark some joy for you today as well. So Julie, would you be willing to share the screen, please? Thank you so much. All right, so this was just the title of it and what we're doing today. So you can go to the next slide, please. I love the idea of inviting children to write. You know, there's so many different invitations that we can give to children, and the more enticing they are, the more willing they are to come to the party, to the writing party. And so that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is that creativity is such an alluring invitation to write when offered to students. Okay, next slide. And here are some of the benefits to creativity. It is multidisciplinary. It reaches across all content, not just all grades. It allows us to express ourselves. I know even as an adult right now, it feels really good to have places to think and to live outside of the current walls that I'm within. It promotes thinking and problem solving. I find this one true to definitely is that it relieves stress and anxiety. It enters our happy zone. We have a little fun, and don't we all need more of that? We need some joy. It gives us a sense of purpose, and it can also lead to feelings of accomplishment and pride. When you think or when you showcase a new thought or a new approach to something, that feels really, really cool to be able to share that with the world. So those are some of the benefits of creativity. I love this quote, and this is what I'm going to ask for you to enter into this space of, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. This quote may even just be an invitation to write. There's so much to explore even just in this. I'm literally going to ask you to change the way that you look at some of the household items that that are surrounding us because we can't go out into the world and explore necessarily. Um, and what else is there? What can we create together? So that's just my quote on perception today that I offer you. If you're not familiar with this book is, there are two different, there's Beautiful Oops, and then there's another one that you can actually, the author, Barney Salzberg, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. This one is filled with ideas of how a spilled cup of coffee can become a lily pad for a frog. You see this right here, a smudge and a smear can become this little rabbit. Excuse me. A torn piece of paper can become an alligator's mouth. A folded piece of paper could become a penguin's beak. And it's just, again, very inviting, and it opens up our minds to possibilities of what could be, even in our areas of oops that we have. So the next. All right, so I'm going to give you some invitations to write here in just a little bit. And today I want your creativity, your creative juices flowing. So you could, in these next pictures that I'm going to show you, possibly have a 6 to 7 word story come to mind. You could create just captions to some of the photographs and pieces of art. You could create, or you could have your students create tweets or hashtags. You could write a flash fiction story. Invitations to write and stimulant text or pictures can also just be a strategy to get started. When you feel stuck and you're not sure that you have anything to write about, these are invitations to get started. You could create a list poem off of some of the things that you see. You could focus in on a specific trait. This would be great for voice and or character development. But also, when I show you these pictures, you might think of other things, and that's what I hope you'll share at the end are different ways that we can use creativity and spark creativity with our students. So I was thinking, I picked these pictures specifically because I felt like they were also things that students could create, the actual art they could create in the home, but also respond to. All right, so today's invitations, here's the first one. If you do not know this website, this is a fun little website called ibombing.com. And basically what these people do, it's in Europe somewhere. I should know probably more about it than I do, but the simple idea of taking googly eyes and they place them on different inanimate objects and almost make them come to life. So when you remember back to what I said, could this be a lesson in voice or character development or hashtags, captions? You can see how we could respond so many different ways to these different stimulants. And if children or students do not have googly eyes at home, a simple piece of paper and a black marker, they could create googly eyes and they could start doing this in their own environment. So in what ways do we have little things watching us around our homes? Okay, the next picture. Once I saw an outlet turned into a little face, I no longer can look at an outlet the same. I'm always thinking about, is it happy? Is it sad? Is it surprised? And then I love this idea of taking pencil shavings and just simply turning them into little creatures that perhaps could evoke a story, a poem, or a thought from us. This is my last stimulant text or photograph to show you. They've simply taken some food and they've turned it into art. So it looks like either little toothpicks or little miniature popsicle sticks. They've created this little tree house into this broccoli leaf. I'm not sure what you call broccoli. I don't eat enough of it, clearly. And then this little nest of, for the meatball birds, I thought was really fun. And it sounds to me as if they have a story to tell. So would you please take about 2 minutes maybe 3, and see if you have a response to one of the invitations that I gave you to write about. And then we'll share in the chat in just about 2 minutes. Okay, about 30 more seconds to kind of wrap up some of your thinking. Thank you, Julie, for re-sharing these pictures. All right, if you would like to share some of your thinking down in the chat, and or if you have different ideas as to how we could adapt or modify this, or other invitations of creativity that you offer in your classrooms, we would love to learn from you. Jan, were you sharing? Or were you just, I wasn't sure if you were talking or if you were muted. Okay, sorry.
Linda, you're muted. I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, I think it finally turned off. Sorry, I was sharing what Jan wrote because it's so cute. It says, Mom flew off to work this morning and left us here. Blah, these are the blandest worms ever. What happened to our wings? These little children keep looking, looking, looking with hungry eyes. I love that. I'm not so creative in the moment. So Jan, I so appreciate people who are. Oh, Jeff, I like yours too. The third tree looked like it was singing opera. That's fantastic. Let's see, Jan, you're just on fire. So she says those eyes and the snow is coming down all over us. The snow is salt. Essentially, the meatball birds are going to get eaten. It's awesome. I love this. I'm going to share that this connects with something I love, love, love doing with my upper middle school, lower high school kids. And I think it would work really well right now with everyone staying home. And it was to ask kids to go into a junk drawer of some kind at home and then just kind of dump everything out, sort through it, and find something that spoke to them somehow. And then they would tell the story from the perspective of the item. And I loved it because, first of all, they could get super creative, but it also was an avenue for people who, like me, are not creative on the spot necessarily. So if they found, like I'm thinking of my math, science, engineering kind of guys, usually they would find, I don't know, a screw or a staple or something, and they would tell all the ways that that could be used. And that was a way they could participate without, you know, coming up with a really cool story. And although most of them did come up with a really cool story. So this is just making me think about that. So thank you.
Similarly, I just want to say I love the playfulness of this, Corinne. I think right now, as we're all shut in at home, being able to find a way to think about our houses as canvases, that we really can be playing with what's around us and re-seeing it in a different way. It's very refreshing, so I appreciate it.
I love that house as a canvas. Katie, that's really cool.
So Julie shared, it's fun to have kids divide into two teams. One sees the picture and describes it, and the other has to recreate it. That's cool. Depending on the age or level, you can set up rules like don't use the word broccoli. So fun to plan if you need a break from academic stuff. And then of course she responded also, the house is the canvas. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, and even just thinking about the idea of an invitation to write and thinking from the way of engaging without a direct ending in mind for me. So freeing up the end result and sort of saying, find something that speaks to you that you wanna say something about. I like I'm just sitting here thinking about how my kids who are in the middle of writing a research report, which I'm trying to make not miserable for them, but is very hard. But thinking about ways that they could do like really brief blasts of information that could be kind of fun, ways of engaging with that same material. I think that's given me some ideas. 6-word story, flash fiction about your research topic, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I can even see, right, starting a Google slide and having each kiddo put in, right, their creative image, their sort of remake of some common object or some common
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
house. And then you have a whole class, right? Like I know for the, you know, at least the 9th and 10th graders, that would become a big competition, right? Who's more creative in their slide. So I think that could be a lot of fun.
I want to share, Melanie Clark said this made me think of the series, The Borrowers. I was also thinking about that. And when my older daughter was young, she would go around the house and create little places for the borrowers to come and live. So that brought back great memories, Melanie. Thank you.
Oh, that reminds me of who's the character who always did everything as a pun or took everything really literally? Mrs. Yeah,
Amelia
no.
Bedelia?
Amelia Bedelia.
Yeah.
You could totally do something like this, Amelia, like getting kids to walk around their house in Amelia Bedelia things, right? And be like, yeah, okay. I don't have anything further than that, but it just hit my head when you said the borrowers. I loved Amelia Bedelia. I mean, like as an adult reading it to my daughter, I was like,
Yeah,
this is brilliant.
well, for me, for check-ins, the students already have extensive projects they're working on, but for check-ins, every second class day, I'm going to use something small like this just to get a little bit of fun, keep them engaged, keep them going, and just kind of laugh a bit before they go back to that next step.
I think that's fantastic. You know, another thing that just popped in my head, it's a little different because it didn't use any kind of physical stimulus, but we would do some writing, you know, off of NPR's This I Believe, but we took it the opposite way. This I don't believe. And so it's amazing how much more, especially teenagers, would come up with on this I don't believe than this I do believe. And they had a lot of fun we would sometimes then spare off into writing some poetry from that too, which I thought was kind of a fun adaptation. They had a lot to say about that.
Corinne, I just also wanted to point out something that, you know, sometimes when we have an activity like what have given us, and our goal is to get students to be creative. I know I have done things in my past that then actually kill the creativity by putting too many boundaries on it and not creating enough choice for the students. So I could see prior Katie would maybe have used this activity and then told everybody they needed to write a 6-word memoir, or told everybody they needed to write a caption. So I just wanted to point out, I think this beauty of having some options for the students is really important. And you know, it doesn't even have to be as extensive as you have provided, but I think especially when we're thinking about getting students to be creative, those choices are really important.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. And I think too, sometimes we do that with writing prompts, right? Like we say, okay, now imagine, write this happened to my son. He was given an invitation, but he could not RSVP note to write about a spooky story around Halloween. And this was a free write and it was supposed to be really engaging and fun. And he put his feet in the mud and had said, I've never been to a haunted house. That creeps me out. I don't want to think about that. And so this unshackles us a bit. We don't have to always be the creative one. I mean, we are not usually, like, right? I mean, the kids are always more creative than we are. And it's more about attending to the task and engaging in the act of writing than it is complying to the assignment of what we're, yeah. So thank you for offering that, Katie. That's a really great point you made.
I'm going to share what Julie pointed out. One, she did not like my idea of asking the student, then your child, to clean out the junk drawer. Well, I think she liked the idea. She just didn't think it would happen. Well, they have to put the stuff back in. But she, yeah, I know, they might just dump it all in there. But that could just be part of the fun, right? Come up with a new way to organize. I don't know. But she also said, to add to the earlier point that I shared, it would be interesting to see if students could locate an emblem or a tangible object to represent something being discussed. Again, it could allow opportunity to interweave literal and tangible with the figurative and symbolic. Very nice adaptation for high school, especially there, I think. And I want to give a shout out to Melanie's cat.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you bringing this to us, Corinne. I can see uses for this not only academically with students, but also with my kiddos here at home. So I appreciate what you've brought to us today. Thanks everybody for being on and joining us. Show Me Online Teaching will be back again at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. So I hope you can join us then. And you can also find all recordings on our Missouri Writing Projects Network YouTube channel. So thank you so much.